Alright, welcome to our last session here with the basics of Photoshop. And this one I just call Photoshopping because that's exactly what we're going to do. And what we're going to attempt to do is, I found this little picture of some Mounties with this blonde lady on the internet. And I want to take Sylvester Stallone's face. And I would like to put his face with this mount, where this Mountie is. So I'll show you a sample that I did. And not thrilled with it, but it's not bad. So we want to put his face on there. So you can see there's a little bit of an issue with the lighting. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can try to fix that. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull this tab down so it's floating, and I want to try to get the lighting for this photo so it's similar to here. So I'm going to go to Image and Adjustments, and I'm going to start to adjust the brightness a little bit, tone it down, try to make it blend in a little bit better so that it'll look like at least belongs somewhat. So that's not too bad. You can play around with some of the different adjustments. Hue and saturation, maybe you can play around with that a little bit if you wanted to darken it a little bit. Black and white will tone it down a little bit as well, depending on how far you go. Shadows and highlights. Okay, so not what I'm looking for. I think I'm happier with just like that. So then what I want to do is just take his head, plop it on in here. So I'm going to use the lasso tool, and I'm going to drag around his head, get his neck here a little bit, choose my move tool, and I'm going to drag his head over. And so when I do that, that creates a new layer here, which is just fine by me. And I want to take that layer and I want to make it so it's see-through, just his head size, so that it's going to match up. So I'm going to take the opacity and tone it down so it's a little see-through. And just like we did when we were doing our first part, hold the Shift key down, resize his head, and try to match it up so that it's going to be similar in size to the actual Mountie. So there's the Mountie's eyes, there's Sly's eyes. So we kind of try to line it up. Okay, not too bad. So I'll hit the check mark. And then I can bring the opacity back up. So now I'm going to zoom around his head. And just like we did with the color and grayscale, I'm going to create a mask layer, grab my paintbrush, and I'm going to start to erase. And again, I can tone the opacity down just so I can see where I need to go. So like for example, there's the brim of the hat. I'll get nice and close here. Okay, and then I want to get rid of this part. Bring back the Mountie's collar. And just like before, when we did the color and the grayscale, if I've, messed up somewhere, I can always just go back, change the brush to white, and undo it. So I'm going to go to a square brush. Just to kind of get in there a little bit. And I'll turn the opacity back up, see how it looks. I erased part of his face, but you get the idea. So I'm just going to go back to my brush, change this back, go back to a round brush, and then I can start to bring back his face a little bit. Change that around again. I don't think I made his face big enough, but or I made it too big. Let's see what it looks like. But you get the idea. I think I did a better job last time, actually. So that's photoshopping. So let's have some fun with it and see what we can do. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for coming. Hope you've learned something, and hope you've had, most importantly, hope you've had some fun. Cheers.